Recently, there has been a ton of controversy around Cardano's staking mechanism and specifically something called Minpool Fee. Now, I'm going to cover all of these things in today's video, but the main question I want to cover today is Cardano's staking broken? What is wrong with it? How is it going downhill in terms of decentralization? And what are the main things we need to address and pay attention to make sure that this doesn't lead into something that is centralized and we cannot reverse it? Keep in mind, before I talk about all these things in the video, I am someone who makes YouTube videos every day. I live in my mom's basement, definitely not a financial advisor, and I definitely don't know every single nook and cranny of Cardano's backend and parameter structure as someone who is writing these threads and talking about these things in the video might. But I do have a general idea. I run my own stake pool and I understand the basics of how everything works quite well. That being said, you're going to have to make your own opinions. I am going to be saying my opinions, but ultimately I'm going to be presenting data that helps you understand the situation so you can tell for yourself how you think things should go and what you think is the best ideal solution that we have proposed today for the problem. And first things first, before I dive into the video, I do have my own stake pool. This is the Jack stake pool. If you want to stake with it, you can turn passive beta, but there are a ton of great stake pools out there. All I ask is that you maybe consider staking with a single stake pool operator like myself if you're going to be staking elsewhere. And that leads us into today's first topic, single stake pool operators. You may be wondering why that matters, but essentially right now, a lot of Cardano stake is with non-single stake pool operators, essentially entities that cover multiple stake pools, 10 plus in some cases. And these are cause and effect for a Sybil attack, aka it's easier for Sybil attack to happen when there's less unique operators because there's less entities that could be infected and take over that stake or that vote in the network. So staking with a single stake pool operator is pretty important. I think it's a great idea and definitely consider doing so if you are actively changing your stake and monitoring where your stake's going and you care for it to how it affects the network's health overall. Now, there is a Twitter user known as Ada Josephine. This is someone who has been very vocal lately about a lot of parameter changes and specifically the Minpool fee being changed or completely removed rather. And adjusting parameters, they say, isn't about making certain people happy. It's about configuring the Cardano network to be secure and resilient. And I wholesomely, absolutely 100% agree. Cardano should be aiming to be secure and resilient. And to be honest, the Minpool fee was actually never meant to be here. It wasn't really tested. It was more of I wouldn't say last minute, but it was a second thought, okay? When we see a single paper from IOG that hasn't been published with Minpool costs, they're not really following the design specification. And I could say that this is FUD. This is taking things out of context, and maybe it is a little bit, but at the same time, it is true. So that is just the way it is. We have to keep in mind that even though Cardano is a blockchain that is based on peer review research with hundreds of technical papers, or I believe between 100 and 200 technical papers covering very abstract concepts and very specific concepts on how Cardano is going to scale, work, implement stablecoins, Babel fees, all these weird technologies that are useful, it doesn't mean that it's perfect. And I'll be honest, parameter changes have been being asked for a long time here, and specifically Minpool fee. Now, Minpool fee is quite a big problem because it doesn't allow people or new stake pools to come into play here and be competitive. As you can see here, there's a fixed cost of 340 ADA for my stake pool. This is the minimum fee that anyone can set when they're running a stake pool. And every time you mint a block or stake pool mints a block, they take 340 ADA out of the rewards automatically in that epoch or that 5-day period if they mint a block. Not per block, just if they mint one block. If they mint 5, it's the same thing, 340 ADA. Here's the thing. A stake pool with around 1 to 2 million ADA is going to mint one block per epoch. One block worth of rewards are a set amount or an amount that is, less than 50 blocks of rewards. Every block equals more rewards. So a big problem of this Minpool cost is that someone with a lot less stake, 1 out of, say, 7 blocks you mint on average, is going to be consumed a lot by this Minpool cost fee in the rewards. This in turn results in a much lower return on stake for delegates if the pool has less than 20 million stakes. So it leaves pools who don't have a ton of initial capital, either for just staking with their own pool, millions and millions of ADA, or pools that don't have an early advantage and are new to the space to not be competitive because their ROS is far, far lower because of the mint pool cost taking out rewards overall, no matter what, on how many blocks they mint. 340 ADA is coming out of rewards, and when you don't have that much ADA stake to your pool, it does affect the ROS quite a bit. This parameter was initially set and decided upon by SPOs to cover the minimum cost for stake pools, and it's great, but this was made years ago, and ADA price is a lot higher than when it was made. Even now, only at 26 cents or 28 cents, it's still a lot higher, and it's more than enough, 340 ADA, to cover the network operating costs for a stake pool. But not only that, it is draining rewards or competitiveness from the people who are making stake pools now or have stake pools and trying to run them and market them, who weren't in early and they're trying to accumulate more stake to their stake pools. It is a hindrance. It is not great. And it also does affect decentralization because people are more likely to flock outside to establish stake pools. And then multi-pool operators open more pools. And in essence, people who open more pools are more likely to open more because of this min fee that takes quite a bit of ADA for themselves. So not only does it stop people from being competitive, but the people who have a lot of stake are incentivized almost to open more stake pools, at least I think so, because this 340 ADA cost is the minimum fee they can set. And if they have multiple stake pools with, say, 20 to 10 million stake, even though the return for the delegates is less, the return for themselves is more. So instead of having one fully saturated pool, they disperse into 3 separate ones. And at the same time, taking less stake for them and leaving less rewards for delegates. Now, Charles Hoskinson also responded to some of Josephine's accusations of IOG and not wanting to change parameters. So I'm going to play that video for you now, and then we'll talk about it for a sec too.
Your response to Josephine's accusations that IOG didn't want to change the parameters. I don't know who this Josephine is. I think it's a Twitter account that just seems to be conspiratorial. It's not about IOG changing parameters. The system is stable at the moment. Be nice to get all the parameters and tune them on a regular basis, but that's the entire point of CIP 1694. You guys should be doing that. If you want to sign up and have a custodian sit down and think about how to tune the system every month so that it promotes some outcome, I think that's not the point of Cardano. The point of Cardano is the Cardano community self-regulates Cardano. So what we did is we got the system to a stable state, and with that stable state, it's able to survive and thrive. The next step is to get the community to take that stable state and create a government on top of it. So if you want to change the system parameters, then go ahead and get something like 1694 in.
To be honest, I don't think this was really a direct reply to Josephine's point of IOG controlling the keys to the kingdom, but in short, I do think that Charles cares a lot about Cardano. Obviously, he made it, but there is still a lot of things to be worried about and things that should be paid more attention to, as they haven't really been taken into account or monitored as closely as maybe they should have in the past year, including min fee or Minpool Fees specifically, and just in general, specific parameters that haven't changed in a while, like the amount of valid stake pools on Cardano being set to 500K, and other things that haven't really made an attempt to progress in the past year or two. Now, I'm no expert, haven't wrote any CIPs or community improvement proposals, and I definitely am not as qualified as a lot of people going on in the discussion of the community improvement proposals, but I do think that it is clear that a lot of progress could have been made, and it wasn't in this regard. I don't know if this is focused on other things because there's a lot going on in Cardano, or if this is a negligence thing. I'm not sure, but I do know that it's good for people to know about this and get into the topic of discussion on the CIP, that is Minpool Fees and Minpool costs, and just how decentralization could be improved upon with a few parameter changes and adjustments in the protocol. Specifically, a CIP for improved rewards has been proposed, and this is not the only one out there. There's multiple of them for improving min fee and other stake pool parameters, but this one is pretty good. I'm going to leave a link down in the description. I like this. It is not necessarily a long-term 100% fix to the problem at hand here, but it is a pretty significant improvement that can be implemented with relative ease compared to other solutions that maybe are more abstract and also more complex. This is based on Cardano's declining MAV being a real problem. As the network matures and gains more users, we ideally want the minimal attack vector or MAV to go up and not down, or stay consistent over time. However, currently this is not the case, and this trend points to potential problems with the parameters set and reward sharing scheme. Now that their staking network has matured, it's time to re-examine the rewards sharing scheme parameters and seek optimization. So we already went over min pool cost. If you want to pause the video and look at this definition, you can as well right here. But now something new is being introduced, which is called min pool rate. So instead of completely removing min pool cost, we introduce a new parameter, min pool rate, to avoid huge operations just running at zero costs and driving other established stake pools into the ground. This new parameter will protect established stake pools by ensuring that they collect sufficient revenue from operating while offering a competitive return on stake. Additionally, min pool rate can be updated to reflect current economic conditions. So if price changes or if, the US dollar explodes, something like that. And as min pool rate enforces a proportional minimum fee, it does not affect the viability of stake pools, unlike min pool cost, where it's not a percent, but it's rather a set amount that just taken out and ripped apart from the delegates' rewards. Min pool rate will be able to provide sufficient Sybil attack protection with the pledge benefit as well, while maintaining a level playing field for stake pools. This has even been originally proposed in a previous CIP. In this proposal, there is also the idea to up K from 500 to more like something of 750, and this proposal is breaking down into multiple stages. And the main things I want to highlight with this proposal is the stages ROS and how they increase with different stages. So first thing first, stage 1 min pool cost decreased to 170 ADA. So this isn't a just straight up take everything out and gut the whole system. Making general things go down and slowly implementing this proposal through stages is a good idea. And then the next stage after that is taking out min pool cost and putting min pool rate in with a 3% implemented. This is going to require a hard fork, so this is a bigger change, but the first one is very easy and can be implemented pretty soon if this CIP is to go through. Stage 3 is to increase K to 750, essentially saying that instead of 500 optimal stake pools as a level for Cardano, it would be 750, meaning the maximum amount of stake for a saturated pool would be lower, currently around 60 million, and this would make room for more stake pools to actually mint blocks and be inside of the Cardano network. And then after this, stage 4 will be to increase K to 1,000. So not only 750 pools in the network to be optimal, but 1,000. This is another great thing. And then if we scroll down here, there's principles and other things, but what I want to highlight is outside of the explanation is the test cases and the current reward scheme ROS, and the difference between someone or a stake pool with smaller staking delegation to them and higher. And right now, as you can see here, if a pool stake is 1 million ADA, and even if the pledge is 1 million, with this 340 fee, the minimum fee, you can see here that the ROS is 1.2%. Okay, so it is a lot less than stake pools with higher staking. And you can see here, even with 10 million stake, you are about 0.2% down in rewards from a fully saturated pool. Keep in mind, these are test cases. These are not 100% perfect, but it is pretty interesting. And we have a viability point of 670,000 ADA. So anything below that is not really going to be calculated, as the ROS would be sincerely much lower, to a point where it's not really viable for the stake pool to operate or be in profit and even earning revenue through the model of the min fee. So keep that in mind. That's what that means. And then as we scroll down here with the stage 1 of this proposal, you can see that the delegator ROS, instead of 1.2% for a pool with 1 million ADA, goes to 2.4%, which is quite the increase. And this does make a large difference. And the gap between 10 million and a saturated pool is also quite heavy, or quite less, sorry, not quite heavy. And this is a overall good thing. And as we go throughout the stages, this becomes more apparent and more viable, as even a stake pool with 100,000 ADA in it has a delegator ROS of 3.6% through this testing mechanism. So this is good. This is really good. And just this simple proposal here that doesn't really have too much major changes could improve Cardano's decentralization and Cardano's viability to run a stake pool with low stake and operate on the network to encourage more single stake pool operators and more entities, and overall increases Cardano's minimal attack vector. Theoretically, is looking very good. In stage 3, we can see here that this also is a thing, 3.6% across the board, no matter how much stake these stake pools have in their stake pool. Keep in mind though that pledge is a factor here, so that is also important. And then we have stage 4 with the pool pledges also being pretty high, but again, delegator ROS, very similar rewards no matter which stake pool you're getting here, just different pool revenues depending on which stake pool you're operating. If you're someone with not much ADA in your stake pool, you're not going to make that much ADA from running it, but you are still going to be able to return a high delegator return on stake. So with this proposal, there is a large amount of uproar or a large amount of things that are to be considered, but I think this is pretty good. I want you guys to check out this for yourself, and I want you guys to talk about this, CIPs, Cardano's Minpool fee, the decentralization going down. I think it's an interesting discussion. I think it's important to note, and I do think some changes are needed. So that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. All the links will be linked down in the description. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. It's been your friend Jack. Peace out.